morning. Am I on? Can you hear me now? All right, good. Hey, I got a helper today.
Can you hear me now?
I got a helper today.
Good.
We're going to do this together.
Together.
All right. So glad you're here. Several of you here for the very first time, and we're delighted that you showed up today. This is the Sunday place to be right here, and we're grateful that you made it. Miriam and I have been here as pastors of Solatna Church of God for almost 34 years.
Yes.
And it's just absolutely incredible. We are so blessed to be here and to be part of this family for all these years. And however, the time has come for us to retire as senior pastors. We will know after January 24th of this year, we will no longer be serving as senior pastors of Solatna Church of God. Pastor Andy and Beth will be stepping up to become your new senior pastors. However, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here. We're not leaving state. Well, we're leaving state, but only for a couple months. And I have to take her somewhere warm, or I will be here by myself, and then I'll be really cold. So we are going outside for a few months, but we'll be back sometime in April. We're leaving the end of January. We'll be here next Sunday, and all the way through January 24th will be our last Sunday.
And I would like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I was looking around at the faces, which I can't look really long and say, but I've been given two beautiful gifts on my journey, many actually, but two big ones for the past 34 years, and that is the privilege and honor to co-pastor alongside of my husband, number one, and number two, the privilege and honor to serve with you. And many of you, because of you, we are able to become who we are. And it's been a long journey, and you guys have seen me sweet, not so sweet, happy, sad.
You're always sweet.
Glad, hurt, sad, just lots. You've seen all of me.
Pert near perfect.
I have worked on my journey here. What I've learned in Soldotna on my journey here is I came here as a very introverted, shy, afraid of you woman of God, because I had been harmed by the church. And so I guarded myself greatly. And then I walked through, because of you, you allowed me to walk through my journey of healing and to learn to not only look at you individually, but a whole group of you at one time without passing out. It's been incredible. And also, you've taught me how to love and what love is through Jesus Christ. And you've taught me how to forgive. You've taught me so many things. You have taught me on my journey here. And it's been a privilege and an honor to learn from you. And I will continue to learn from you as we continue to live here, I'm sure, in another fashion and in another way, because we never get too old to learn. If I could give you a gift, I would ask you to always remember that. We never get too old to learn, and we never fully arrive until the Lord says to us, enter ye in, thou good and faithful servant. So I just want to thank you for loving me and giving me the honor to love you. And yes, I'm doing really well this time. Be blessed you weren't the first to go around, but it's a bittersweet. We're kind of excited.
I'm learning not to like that word, bittersweet.
Yeah.
Just think.
We're kind of excited, but not. You ever felt that way? Do something. Quit staring at me like that. Good. That's your turn.
Oh, my. Well,
I love you all.
I was thinking, we came here, we were 32 and 33.
Yeah, just babies.
Now, if you think Pastor Andy's green around the gills, let me tell you something.
You should have been here at 32 and 33.
You should have been here at 32 and 33
God
when we were
is
here.
good to you guys.
Dear Lord. And some of y'all showed up in the last year or two or three. And, wow, these
guys
got
10 years on us.
These guys are
they got
amazing.
this.
Yeah, well, you should have been here 30 years ago. You wouldn't have thought so
Perfect?
amazing. Okay?
No, they're not.
Yeah.
But you have grace, and so do they.
And you have given us grace, and you've given us mercy and goodness.
Yeah.
And I encourage you and challenge you to do the same for Pastor Andy
Absolutely.
and Beth. Beth will be in a little different situation. She has her own career at school, and
that'll be a little different.
She'll be doing her. She's a school teacher.
So you won't have to put up with her as much as you had to put up with
right.
me. But you will have to put up with her.
So we're just grateful for all your faithfulness. We thank you so much for your support. And one of the greatest compliments you could give to us is to continue to grow and show up. And I know that Christian and Randy and a few of the Tim, a few of these other guys are going to get Pastor Andy note up. He don't know all the, he's coming along. So be patient with him and kind, and he'll get it. Okay. He loves the Lord with all of his heart, and I've been praying for several years for God to send us the pastor that would be able to take over and take our church to the next level. And I really believe with all my heart God has sent us, Pastor Andy and Beth, to do that very thing. Again, he's fresh out of Tennessee, but he's he's going to do well. So you just love him and work with him. And if you got a problem, do what you did with me. Come and go nose to toes with him and talk to him.
Yep.
And he's a very approachable guy. He loves the Lord and he loves you. And he wouldn't be here if he didn't.
And he loves me, so that says a lot.
That says a lot. That's right.
So that should give you hope for your future. But I do want to say that I am so grateful for also, not a lot of you in this room, I don't think, were here when our sons were home. How many of you were here when our sons were home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for loving my family. Because Alan did not go this journey by himself.
That's right.
He has a wife and 2 sons that journeyed.
Paid a great price
and
to be where we are.
I just challenge you that if you have a thought process or something in your little brain, if you'd like to shoot Mark and James a little text.
Shoot them? Yeah, that would.
On a telephone?
Okay.
Well, what's the proper word in this age and culture? Send? That sounds so gross.
Touch them. All right. Thank you, darling. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Pastor!
Oh, no, not again.
Hold on. So I have an announcement. Okay. So we are going to have 2 separations for our pastors. And so what we're going to do is January 23rd.
Y'all don't need to leave just because I'm going to preach, okay? So, man, we cleared the house.
January 23rd here at the church downstairs is going to be a smaller, limited-sized party for those over 60 or at higher risk of COVID. For those that are a little more concerned about that, we're going to have a sign-up sheet next week. We'll talk about it some more, but we'll have that downstairs. That's on Saturday. But on Sunday, January 24th at Alaska Christian Retreat, the ultimate potluck for our pastors. Well, Miriam likes them too, but you know they're his favorite. Okay, so we're going to have a sign-up sheet for that next week too. When you leave today, there are invitations for reminders, so please make sure to grab one so you mark these dates off. They're very important because we want to give them an incredible celebration.
Thank you, Brenda. Tell you what, Brenda's been aggravating me, and I've been aggravating her for near under 34 years. She's one of the few here this morning that were here. Excuse me, when we came. There's maybe someone else. You're scanning, huh? All right. She was the one, and she said it was her vote. And by the way, if you ever think your vote don't count, I am the pastor of this church for 34 years, and I got it by 1 vote. So don't ever think your vote don't count. It does, believe me. It really does. So I encourage you to be faithful in your voting, whether it's political election or local, state, federal election or whatever. Make your voice known. Make your vote. I again really excited. Last week, my friend Eric, Hugarte across the road. He's not here today, I don't think. But oh, there he is. All right, Eric. He's sitting in the shadows back there, bro. But Eric put his hat in the ring to run for city council at Soldotna. Yes, he did. And he almost got it. He would have got it, but never mind. He didn't get that position, but he got appointed to the City Planning and Zoning Commission. And he got appointed to the Parks and Recreation Board. So I'm telling you, I challenge you to step up and be willing to run for office, run for city council, run for borough assembly. You can do it. And you just walk ethically. If you tell anybody you go to Soldotna Church of God, you better be living the life. And don't be, anyway, never mind. Okay, all right. Pastor Andy talked about faithfulness today. Faith without works is dead. I heard a little illustration many years ago that really helped me with that. It said if it cost $10 to go to the movie, and Ernesto, you had $5 and I had nothing, which one of us could go to the movie? Neither one of us could go to the movie because it cost $10 to go to the movie. And he don't have no money. He got $5. I got nothing. We can't go. And that's the way faith and works are. It takes faith and works together to go, because faith without works is dead, and our faith is evidenced by our works. So if you got good works and you're a good person, but you don't have faith in God through His Son Jesus Christ, you only got half the deal. So it's important that we have faith with works, as the book of James clearly says. All right. I'm doing real good right now. Probably won't before this is over, but I'm excited to be able to share God's Word with you the last Sunday of 2020. Amen. 2020 is going to be gone in about 4 days, all right? Praise the Lord. Oh, I don't think any of us here are going to be sad to see it go. And we're looking at 2021 with, I don't know about you, but I'm looking at 2021 with great mixed emotions. I was sitting in first service this morning and my phone dinged, and I looked down and there was a news article just came out today that says that Dr. Fauci agrees with President-elect Joe Biden that the worst of COVID is yet to come. Now, I pray to God they're both wrong, but we don't know. We don't. Reality is we don't know what the future holds. But the good news is we know who holds the future. God holds the future. And the verse that I have been using for the entire year of 2020 has been Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. And if you know them from heart, say them with me. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, seek His will in all you do, and He will show you the path to take. And that has been the verse that I've lived by this entire year and much of my life, actually. And I just want to challenge you to embrace that verse and to live by that verse as well throughout your life. I've preached from that so many times. I've shared from it in so many different ways, and there's so much there. Today I want to talk to you. The title of my little message today is Transition Time. Transition time. We are not only transitioning with the new year coming, with the 2020 going away, 21 coming in, and new things. There's going to be a whole lot of new and different things coming this year. And it's a time of transition that we're going into, and as well as here at our church. And Pastor Andy will be taking the helm as of the 24th, or actually January 31st. Will be his first official Sunday, and we'll be in Florida by then. And God's got it, okay? He's got a learning curve, and he's going to grow, and he's going to learn. But his heart is here, and I'm so grateful that God has brought them here. And as he transitions and as he learns, and y'all just be patient with him and love him and work with him, and I know it's going to be awesome. Man, I'm really excited about his small group he's doing. Discipleship 101, he showed me the curriculum. He's going to tell you where the Bible came from in great details, how it got here, the translations from one to the other, why there's only 66 books in it, and that whole process of how the Bible got here, and just really an awesome class. And then share with you how to pray, how to talk to God in the midst of all of the chaos of this life. Now, I don't know if you remember, not if you were here, but last Sunday I shared with you about Mary and Mary's song, Mary's transition from being a lowly virgin servant girl engaged to a man named Joseph. She transitioned into one of the most revered women in history. She really is. She has actually become one of the most revered women in history. And so I am just was amazed at her transition, and she went from a paradigm, and if you don't know what a paradigm is, it is not 20 cents. A paradigm is a belief. It's a truth that we hold. And when I have taught the paradigm shift principle in jail over the years out at Wildwood many times, and one thing easy illustrations I use to get everybody's attention is that a lot of guys is in jail especially, but in life, really not so much about jail, it's in life. A lot of guys get the concept that, you know, women, all they want is your money. All they want is what they can get from you. They just take. That's a paradigm, a belief. But the truth of the matter is that's not true. That's just truth in certain circles. And, you know, guys, yeah, it's true, yeah, it's true, yeah. You believe that, you will treat women that way. And the same thing with men, with women. Women have a paradigm and believe that all men want is one thing. And that's all they want. They want their body, and they want sex. That's all men want. And there's a lot of men that's true, but it's not all men. And when you believe that principle, it affects everything you do in life, because that's what you believe about everybody. And the paradigm that I want to talk about for a moment is this paradigm of me. It's all about me. Life is all about me. I am the center of the universe. And it's all about me. Gimme, gimme, gimme. My name's Jimmy. It's all about me. It's the me, me, me syndrome. We heard Stephen Furtick was kind of talking about this principle not too long ago, and he was singing it. Me, 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 me. It's all about me, 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 me. And a lot of us go through life that way. And Mary was kind of that way, sort of, kind of, in the beginning when the angel first told her about she was going to get pregnant. And God was going to, the Holy Spirit was going to overshadow her, and she was going to get pregnant, and she was going to have a baby, and she's like, not me, dude. I am a virgin. I'm not married. If I get pregnant, they're going to stone me, and I don't mean with a joint, with a stone, with a rock. They're going to kill me. And that was the culture of that day. A single girl in a teenage pregnancy, they didn't argue with you. They didn't fight with you. They just took you out in front of the city and stoned you, killed you, and drug your body off, and the parents could say nothing about it. That was the culture of that day. In the Middle East, in some of those cultures, it's still that way. That's the way it was. She knew what price she was going to risk paying if she said yes. Mary thought about it. Mary pondered it for a moment, and then the angel continued to explain, and the Bible says that Mary said, whatever you say, be it unto me. That's cool. I am the servant of the Lord. And that was Mary's transition from me to we. Now, I want to share with you today a gift. You can call it a going away gift, a parting gift, whatever you want to call it. This is not going to be my last sermon here as pastor. I've got 2 more sermons next Sunday and the following, and I'm very excited about them, by the way. I'm really excited. I got a new theme for my life for 2021, and I'm very excited. I'll share it with you next Sunday. I'm really excited about it, and it's going to be my theme for 2021, and Pastor Andy will share with you where his vision and direction and where we're going and that aspect of it. But and by the way, Miriam and I are going to move into a new position here at Soldotna Church of God. We're going to be called Pastors Emeritus. Now, don't ask me what that means. I can't even spell it, okay? So, but that's what we are. We're going to be that. It's basically honorary pastors, okay? We're not going nowhere. We're going to be here. So you know, don't go wacko with that. We're going to be back here in April, and we'll be here. So we're excited about that. But as a kind of a parting gift, and again, I know this is not my last Sunday, my last sermon, but if it were, I want to give you a parting gift, some words of wisdom from God's Word from me, and a parting gift to Andy and Beth I will share as well. I want to share with you the secret to greatness. And I'm not being facetious, being very, very, very serious. If you have a pencil or your phone with a notepad app in your phone or whatever, you might want to take a note. I a couple things I want to share with you, but the greatest gift that I could give you in going away gift, a parting gift from me as your pastor, as your friend, for many years, some of you, I want to give you the secret to greatness. And the secret to greatness from my mind and from God's Word is serving your fellow man. Serving your fellow man. Somebody say, are you serious? Very, very serious. Serious as a heart attack. Very serious. The key to greatness, the key to happiness, the key to loving life is serving God and serving your fellow man. We did a Destiny Conference theme one year. Loving God plus loving people equals loving life. And I know people have done you wrong. People have harmed you. Perhaps religious people have harmed you. But I want to tell you, if you will put your faith and trust in God with all your heart and lean not on your abused understanding, lean not on your limited understanding, on your past. As you know, and I've shared many times before, you can't live your life looking in the rearview mirror. You will crash. Yes, you've been done wrong, but so have we all. We could start right over here with Theron and go all the way around the room to Miriam and back to me, and every one of us in this room could sing multiple verses of a somebody done me wrong song. Okay, we all got them. We all been done there. But you live your life in your past, you're going to crash and burn and never amount to a hill of beans. But if you will be willing to let the past go, as I had to do, as we had to do, I'm going to tell you something. If anybody on this planet has a reason not to ever darken the door of a church, this girl right over here has that reason. My wife is unbelievable. She went to her first Beauty for Ashes conference in Anchorage, and she listened to all the abuse stories in her small group that they shared, and she was afraid to share because she didn't have a story. she wasn't abused. She didn't have a story. And these folks had come from villages and places all over the state, and they shared their stories of physical abuse and sexual abuse. And she was like, wow, this is so horrible. I don't have a story. Finally, on Thursday of the week, started on Monday, she finally got the courage and to almost ashamedly share her little story of what little abuse she kind of grew up in, and every person in the room was crying when she got done. This girl has had more spiritual abuse than you could ever imagine, and if anybody I know should not ever want to darken the door of a church, it would be her. But she married me, and off we went, and on a journey of a lifetime. By the way, this coming June will be 50 years that we met and started dating. This coming June, well, maybe July or August when we started dating. Took me a couple months to get rid of that boyfriend you had. But anyway, we got on with that. But I want to challenge you today to hear me for the next few minutes. I've got just a few minutes. I want to share with you the greatest secret to happiness, the greatest secret to greatness I know. And Jesus told his disciples, just before, not very long before he went to the cross, he was sharing with his disciples, and it's found in Mark chapter 10, verse 42, starting in verse 42. Mark chapter 10, starting in verse 42. And it says, so Jesus called together his disciples, and he said to them, you know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. Now, I dare say every one of us in this room, at one time or another, if you're very old, have been a victim of some abusive boss, or an abusive government official, or judge, or lawyer, or CO, or never mind, okay? But they flaunt their authority. And Jesus said it. He knew it. Nothing's changed. It's been 2,000 years ago since he wrote this, and nothing's changed. And he said they flaunt their authority over those under them. Anybody ever experienced that? Yeah. And that's normal for business owners. Whatever you do that one more time, you're fired. And you need the job so bad you could, you're about to go under, and they just abuse and unfortunately, sexual abuse in the workplace is part of reality, and it has happened, and happens more often than we like to think. But you want to keep your job. You do what you got to do, and they've abused. And Jesus said in verse 43, but among you, it's going to be different. Among you, it's going to be different. Among you, it's going to be different. I told them when the song for the update was playing, I sure wish I knew how to break dance. I'd get up here and bust a move on this stage, but I don't know how, and I'm too old. So, but I was doing it. I was getting it inside. Okay. That's what Miriam said. You can do it inside. That's cool. I can do that. Yeah. The handstands and the spin on my head and the whole thing. And anyway, all right. Where was I at? Among you, it's going to be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. And really? That's stupid. No, it's not. It is paradoxical, perhaps, but it's opposite. It seems opposite of what is in our culture, and it is the opposite of what is in a lot of culture. And people will say to me, I just don't believe that's a work. I just don't believe that works. I can't be able to serve people. I want to be a leader, and you want me to serve people? Well, let me ask you this. How's what you've been doing working for you? I got this early on in my ministry. I got this early on in my ministry. That I got that to be a follower of Christ, to go anywhere and do anything, to be great in the kingdom of God, you got to be a servant. When I got saved, I committed my life to Christ on that beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, sitting on the beach all by myself. I really felt like the Holy Spirit said, you've made a mess of your life, and if you'll move over out from under the driver's seat and let me drive, I will make something out of your life. And that day, I surrendered my life to God as I understood him on that beach, and I got up and I began this journey of following Jesus all these years. Have I done it right all the time? Absolutely not. Have I messed up big time? Absolutely. But God has forgiven me. He's loved me. He brought me back under his wing, and he helped me to learn how to be a servant. And I want to challenge you. Now, I really believe that this phrase in this verse, says, whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. I believe that is for all of us, every one of us as Christians. And I promise you, you will be taken advantage of. You know, for years ago, Pastor Andy, I prayed, Lord, would you use me? Just use me, Lord. Just use me. And then somebody used me, and I get ticked. They used me. What'd you pray for, boy? Because, see, when you use me, when you take advantage of me, if you do bad to me, I ain't got to worry about you. My daddy going to take care of your wagon. My daddy got you, Jack. You can steal from me. You can cheat from me. I can loan you money and you never pay it back, and it ain't no skin off my nose. Because I live by a rule. I never loan money that I can't afford to lose. And when I loan it, I don't loan it, I give it. If it ever comes back, glory be to Jesus. If it don't, it's okay. I've got money out there that I've loaned. One got $2,000 one time, and I've never seen a word from it, and it's been 10, 15 years. You know what? It ain't no worries. It's no worries. I got a check in the mail one time for over $2,000. This is the truth. I got a check in the mail for it was $2,000 or over $2,000 in the mail, and the guy wrote me this letter and said he was so sorry that he hadn't paid it back, but I loaned it to him at a time he really needed it, and blah, blah, blah going on. And I'm sitting there looking at this check like, I don't remember loaning that dude no $2,000. I was serious. I do not remember. He said I did. I spent it. I took it. But I mean, I didn't remember all loaning him the money. I mean, but he sent it to me, so I'm like good with it. It's true. I can tell you numerous stories. I sold a guy a car one time, and I carried the payments, and he never paid. Paid a few payments and never paid. And I heard that he wrecked it, and it was totaled and gone. And like 5 years later or whatever, I was going through my files, and I found the title. I never give him the title. I found the title. I put it in the shredder. It was over. I wasn't worried about it. 6 months later, this knock came. He came in the office. Big old boy. Big dude. He came in the office, and he said, Pastor, I want to apologize to you. I never did pay you for that car, but I got the money now, and I want to pay you off. And he gave me $1,500 cash, and he said, could I have the title? I said, I don't have it. I shredded it. We had to go to DMV and get a lost title thing. But when you put God first in your life, when you surrender your life and your will to God, and you be willing to be a servant, and you serve him, he will make you great in the kingdom of God. I'm telling you. Now, there's two different words. I wish I had them. Back up one, if you would, to verse 43, Reese, please. There's a word in verse 43 that says he wants you to be you must be a servant if you want to be a leader. That word servant basically is a household servant, a servant that serves others. But the next verse, 44, 10 verse 44, is for Pastor Andy. And it says, whoever wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else. The slave of everyone else is no longer owned by himself. He is owned by the master. He's the slave of everybody else. And he serves others as a slave. They pierced his ear, put an earring in his ear, which meant he was owned and he was a slave. And that was the culture of that day. Slavery was very common in that day. And if you want to be first, you got to be last. You got to be willing to be a slave. And I'm telling you, if you'll be willing to surrender your life to God, your will to God, and serve others, God will make you great in the kingdom of God. Jesus gave another rule. We used to call it, when I grew up, the golden rule. I was in school. We had it on the board in public school. The golden rule. Here it is, Matthew 7:12. Do to others whatever you would like them to do to you. Treat others, I paraphrase it this way. Treat others like you wish the heck they was treating you. Now, don't say if you do to others, they will do good back to you. Don't say that. Of course, it's not always true. I have a philosophy of life that I've lived my life by. I heard it from one of my mentors. I always wanted to have a mentor in my life, a real live human mentor. I reached out to several men and tried to get them to be my mentor in life, and it just didn't. I wasn't able to connect. But I had one in Bible college, but as an adult here in Soldotna, way up here, I had a few that would call every now and then, but a real mentor I did not have, and I wanted it, and I found that mentor in my books. And some of you know I have 2 or 3 books in my office, or at home, or at the camp in the library. Yeah, 2,000 or 3,000. But I found my solace, my mentoring in books and the authors that write them. Every time I go to the camp and go in that library, I just almost got to grab a book and sit down, because the books in that library are my friends. The books in my library over here, Pastor Andy will talk about something or other, and I'll give him a book, and I give him a book, and I give him another book, and I know right where most of them are, and they changed my life. And one of those books, a gentleman said in the book, his philosophy of life was, you can have might want to write this one down. I did. Changed my life. You can have everything in life you want if you'll help enough other people get what they want. You can have everything in life you want if you'll help enough other people get what they want. And I think for the very first year in our life as a married couple, this year is the very first year that we did not have a present under the tree. Is that right? I didn't buy her anything and wrap it, put it under the tree, and she didn't buy me anything and wrap it and put it under the tree the very first year. Now, we did buy each other a gift back in November. We signed up for a program that we're going to go to in Florida, either in person or virtually, with one of my mentors, John Maxwell. And the John Maxwell team is doing a training, a 4-day training, and we will become certified life coaches, leadership coaches. We'll be able to coach couples, coach people, and as we get through with that training. I'm really excited about it, and it was quite expensive, but we bought it for each other for our Christmas present this year. But truly, as we thought about it and talked about it, there's nothing I wanted under this. I don't need nothing. Everything we have in life that we want, we got. I walk through Sportsman's Warehouse. Now, I'm unlike Pastor Andy, okay? He's a little younger than me, and he's not here yet, but he's getting there. He's on the way. But I walked through Cabela's in Anchorage. He and I went to Cabela's a couple weeks ago. And I go for one place when I walk in Cabela's. I don't even stop. I go straight to the bargain cave. And I find in Cabela's anything on the shelf that they're just about giving away. I bought me a pair of $150 boots, all-weather Gore-Tex Cabela's boots the other day. I don't need them for nothing. But they were super lightweight, heavy insulated, leather, beautiful black, $150 boots. They were $75 half off, and they were half of that. $35. I couldn't leave without them. Not because I needed them, because it was a good deal, okay? And that's where it is. I walked through that whole store. I know there's nothing in there I need. And Andy comes out with a shopping cart full. Well, not quite, but he had half a dozen items in there. God has blessed us beyond anything we could ever imagine. Someone said to me the other day, I forget, somebody outside or somebody somewhere said, how in the world can you and Miriam, all that you have done and worked all of your life, and you built that church up, and you bought the whole city block of property and the camp and all of that, the daycare, you built all that up, and you're just going to turn it over to Andy and walk away? Well, here's the deal. It wasn't mine to start with. It's not mine. It's his. And I'm not turning it over to Andy. I'm not giving it to Andy. I'm just letting Andy be in charge of it for the next 35 years. I'm 25. He's 10 years behind me, so 25 at least. It's not mine. But I gave it. I blessed. It is what it is. And it's been awesome. It's been wonderful. And if I could give you any gift, I would give you the gift of taking on a servant's heart and serving others and helping others get what they want in life, and God will take care of you. It may be 10 years before you get there. Start seeing some coming back, but if you send enough out, you cast your bread on the water, it'll come back on every wave. Goes with marriage, goes with husband-wife relationship. Oh, dear me, goes with husband-wife relationship. This woman has served me, dear Lord. Woo! She woke up one day, and about 10, 15 years into our marriage, and she told somebody, I don't know what happened to my husband, but he changed. A different person woke up one day. I was no longer a selfish, insensitive jerk. That's what most all of us men are when we start out. We're selfish, insensitive jerks. Ladies. And somebody said, all men are the same. God just put different faces on them so you can tell them apart. See, God has to do a work in us. God has to do a work. And we have to let him. And we have to be willing to hear him. And God's voice sometimes sounds an awful lot like Miriam. And I have to be willing to listen. And I struggle with that. Because in my early years, I knew everything. You don't have to be so enthusiastic, okay? All right? I knew everything, and I had to learn, no, I don't. The fact of the business is, it's really what you learn after you know it all that counts. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. Jesus gave us the golden rule. The Apostle Paul challenged us, and I got to hurry, dear me. The Apostle Paul challenged us in Romans chapter 13, verse 8. He said, owe nothing to anyone except for your obligation to love one another. Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another. If, look at this, if you love your neighbor, you'll fulfill all the requirements of God's law. You'll fulfill all the requirements of God's law if you love your neighbor. Verse 9, for the commandments, you must not commit adultery, you must not murder, you must not steal, you must not covet. These and other such commandments are all summed up in this one commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself. Verse 10, love does no wrong to others, so love fulfills the requirements of God's law. If you love God and you love your neighbor, one another like you love yourself, you won't sleep with another man's wife because you wouldn't want no man sleeping with your wife. You wouldn't steal from somebody else's house because you wouldn't want somebody stealing from you. It ain't rocket science, y'all. You just simply, would I want somebody to do that to me? Then don't do it. You do, you'll be falling back into Lake Stupid. Don't do that. Treat other people like you wish they were treating you. Love does no wrong to others. I don't care how bad you want it. Jesus said if you can't control your hand, cut it off. Can't control your eye, gouge it out. Just don't. In Galatians chapter 5, Paul said, you've been called, verse 13, Galatians 5:13, you have been called, look at this, you've been called to live in freedom, my brothers and sisters. But don't use your freedom to satisfy your sinful lust, your sinful nature. Instead, use your freedom to serve one another in love. Well, you can't tell me what to do. That's America. I can do what I want to. Sure you can. You can go do back to stupid any day you get ready. You can go back to doing drugs. You can go right back to Wildwood. It's okay. You can do that if you want to. But Paul said, use your freedom. You're free to do. So why don't you choose to serve others? And I know as a young person, younger person, it takes a few years to get this. I wish I could have got it earlier. I didn't get it till I was older. But please, receive this gift from this old man today. God wants to bless you. God wants to help you if you will just serve others. One of my heroes in this community is a very unsung hero. Very few people know his name. Very few people know who he is and what he does. But he lives right over here on Parkwood Street. He's an old man. He's older than me. He's really old. He's retired. He's a welder by trade, teacher at the college. We'll just call him Obi. And he cuts about 30, 40 plus cords of wood every year. Cuts it, splits it, stacks it, 30, 40 cords at least. But he's in a place where he doesn't need to make a living. He's got his money, got his retirement income. He's set. I guess he's pushing 80. I don't know. He's well into his 70s. And he cuts 30 to 50 cords a year and gives every bit of it away to old people that burn wood that can't afford to buy wood. He has a snowblower and a little ramp that he rolls up in the back of it. It's a manual walk behind, pulls it up in the back of his truck. Used to, I don't know what he does now, but 25, 30 driveways in town and around the community. He plows their driveways, blows them with his snowblower. Every snow falls, he goes them and won't take a penny of money. I bet you if you went over and asked him, Obi, do you have any needs? Anything I could get you and give you? He'd say, nope, we got everything we need. We got everything we need. Got a good living, got a beautiful little log home, got 6 or 8 kids, 5, 6 kids, and he's just a blessed man. I challenge you, friend, to love your neighbor as you say. Let me go to verse 14. The whole law can be summed up in this one command. Love your neighbor as yourself. Verse 15. But if you're always biting and devouring one another, watch out. Beware of destroying each other. Don't fall in. Don't live the life you grew up with and what your daddy and mama and them taught you to be critical and judgmental and just bite and devour and backbite. Don't live like that. Don't live looking in your rearview mirror. Don't live in your past. You drive down the road 60 mile an hour wide open, looking in that rearview mirror, you'll crash for sure. Look in that windshield, look forward, and let the past go. Now I want to read, as I close, a passage that the Apostle Paul gave Timothy in his second book of Timothy, chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. The Apostle Paul knew that he was soon to go to the guillotine. He was soon to have his head removed from his shoulders. He was going to die. He knew it. It was coming. And I'm not going to die today or next week or whatever. This verse is the New Living Translation. I chose to use the New King James, and it says it a little different. The New King James does. It says in verse 13, for you have been called, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 6. The Apostle Paul said, for I am already being poured out as a drink offering. You know, in some ways, the last 34 years, I've poured my life out in this community. We really have. We've given this community the best years of our life. 33, 67. The peak productive years of our life. We poured it out in this community with no regrets. The time of my departure is at hand. Approximately 31 days, and we'll get on an airplane and we'll be gone for a couple months. And when we come back, we will no longer be senior pastors, so not in the Church of God. So the time of our departure is at hand. And it is that word Miriam used, it's bittersweet. It has been the greatest joy of our lives, my life, and I speak for Miriam, speak for herself, and I know she agrees, but it's been the greatest joy of my life in serving in this community, serving you, my friends in the recovery program. My friends who aren't in the recovery program, those of you who've let us love you and you loved us. You loved us so well. The Apostle Paul said in verse 7, the next verse, Reese, the next verse, Reese. Come on. Help me, brother. Verse 7. Help a brother. There we go. All right. Verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I've finished the race. And I have kept the faith. I can say with all in my heart, before all God Almighty, we've kept the faith. We've remained faithful. By His grace. By His goodness. Verse 8. Finally, it's a different version than the one I got, but it's okay. You'll get the message. Finally, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness. Let me read that one. Now the prize awaits me, the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on the day of His return. And the prize is not just for me, but it's for all who eagerly look forward to His appearing. It's to all, every one of us. I want to thank you from the depths of my heart for allowing us to serve you for these last, how many ever years you've been part of our family. And like I said, we'll be here 2 more Sundays for preaching, and then we'll be passing the baton. But it has been an honor for us to serve you. And I challenge you to give Pastor Andy and Beth the benefit of the doubt. Love them. I know they knew, but y'all will get them knowed up. Just love them and bless them and give them a chance. Give them a chance. I know God brought them here. I know that in my heart. Yes, things will be different eventually, but different is not bad. It's just different. Would you stand? As we close out the old year, 2020, with hopefully very few regrets, let us transition to 2021 with a we attitude, paradigm, rather than a me paradigm. Yeah, the music will be different. The number 1 lead vocalist won't be here for the next 3 months. She'll be singing to me. and you're going to miss her. But Brenda and the team are going to step up and do awesome. I know they will. And I know Pastor Andy and Beth are going to do awesome. I know that, and I just thank God. Father, as we close this time together, thank you for your strength, for your mercy, for your goodness to us, and for your blessings on this church, this family that will continue to invite friends and come and share and will grow to heights that we never even imagined. God, that you're going to do things through this church to continue to reach out to the lost and reach out to every aspect of our community to let them know that you love them, that you'll never leave them or forsake them, that you love them and forgive them, and you will bless them as they surrender their lives to you and as they realize the key to greatness is serving others. I thank you for it. And I commit it to you today, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Thank you.